friends. Welcome back to another installment of the 94 podcast, a tradition like no other. Welcome, Jim. How you doing? Happy weekend.
Happy weekend. How you doing, Brooke?
Doing good, Jim. I'm Brooke Edel, joined by Jim Bushy, my co-host here in the 94 podcast. Back in the studio here in CCX, live in living color. We got a lot to cover. I did mention we do have Masters Weekend going on right now. But before Masters Weekend, there's always the Final Four, and the Final Four did wrap up with the National Championship on Monday. Championship Monday. It was UConn versus Michigan. UConn with an opportunity to win 3 national championships in the past 4 seasons. They did come up short. They did lose 69-63, a 6-point defeat to the Michigan Wolverines. The Michigan Wolverines, led by Dusty May and Elliot Cadeau, cut down the nets. And shout out to Yaxel Lundeberg playing, not 100% and not listening to his agent. His agent was telling him to sit out the national championship. And Jim, there's just some things that money cannot buy, and those are one of those experiences.
Nope, you don't do that. Especially I understand he's like, you're gonna get paid, you're gonna get hurt, you're gonna ruin your chances, but like, dude, you don't give a chance to win the natty. You don't do that at all. Like, you can't.
Right, you got to suit it up one more time. He's a senior, and knowing that his story, he didn't play organized basketball early in life, but he did play later in high school, and then also he played at a JUCO at Western Arizona for the Matadors out west, and then he was able to get transferred over to Michigan. He also had, I believe he was with UAB, but then he made the transfer to Michigan. And then, he was part of that starting 5. The all starting 5 was from the portal. So Dusty May was able to really unlock the code, the cheat code for college basketball. And I think it's been a time for this evolution of the game, but I think it's been going on for a couple years now that we actually see a full-on champion of all 5 players that did not play with the Michigan Wolverines. Because Michigan was down, like they had an 8-24 record before Dusty May took over 2 years ago, and in his second season, he goes and wins the national championship. I think he wins 37 games with 3 losses. So and playing the full 40 and winning the national championship. But want to give kudos to the Wolverines. They will be back with a chance for a repeat. Already news out there, Elliot Cadeau coming back for his senior season. So Michigan is not going away, and UConn's not going away, because I think UConn didn't have too many players in the transfer portal. But Dan Hurley has already come out and said that he doesn't know who's going to be on his roster. He knows maybe 4 or 5 of the 15 players on the roster that will be playing for UConn men's basketball next year. So it is kind of like a free agent frenzy in the portal, since the portal did open earlier this week. So there's a lot that is going to happen from now until tip-off, which will happen in the fall. But college basketball is in a good stage. I think the game is better for it in knowing that these players actually want to stay in college and actually work on their game. And I feel like the coaches have been able to match what the players really need, because this upcoming draft class is one of the most talented draft classes upcoming in the NBA draft.
I wouldn't say the coaches. The coaches are the reason our kids want to stay, because it's college. I think they want to stay because the NIL money is way more better than the entry-level contracts they'll receive in the draft. So I think that's the reason why they're saying. But yeah, no, it's great to see these teams doing. It kind of feels like you've lost the willing to stay now for kids in college. They don't care. They either want to play or they just want to play and get the money and then do their own thing. I mean, congrats, Michigan. They just played better than UConn, but it is what it is. But yeah, no, it just feels like ever since NIL and the transfer portal and all the lax rules, it's just something that I don't know. It feels like we're not playing college anymore. And I've said my disdain about NIL and everything. I mean, it's great. I mean, good for the coaches. They know how to recruit and recruit well. They know how to snag people from other teams. They can see all the prospects, and good for them. And all the kids could develop and be better. Then that's great. It's good to hear. Just that was the other way. I wish it was back the other way, but that's just old man yelling at clouds.
Yes, Jim, I know the NIL is a big part of the equation. There's not going to be too many Alex Caravans out there that are just doing it for the love of the game, and loving their university, and actually just really enjoying the process of being a college athlete. I agree there. The NIL does play a major factor. There's still players that it all comes back down to the player's personality too. Like, do they want to be in college? Do they want a coach that is in charge of the entire operation? Some players, they choose to go overseas because they want the professional field. They don't want to be kind of in that hybrid mode of being a professional and an amateur, but you are still getting paid on certain deals. For example, it'll be interesting to see some of these freshmen that had big tournaments, in the month of March, seeing how they navigate the transfer portal and also their draft eligibility as the draft, it draws closer when it gets to June. Who is going to be declaring? Because there's been so many court cases of these players that are either looking to extend their eligibility, or they declare for the draft, but then they want to get back in to the fold. So again, there's a lot of wishy-washy of this, like NCAA right now, because I think it'll be really indicative to see, because this is going to be a very deep draft class. As we mentioned, there's rumors that that there's going to be comparisons to the 2003 draft class with LeBron James, Dwayne Wade, Carmelo Anthony. You got names like AJ DeBonce, Darren Peterson. I think also Acuff, who just signed a deal with Reebok. You got some of these players that are already on their way into the league, and these teams are just salivating, knowing that they're going to be their cornerstone of their franchise. You got, like I mentioned, AJ DeBonce, Darren Peterson, Koa Pete, AJ DeBonce with BYU, Darren Peterson with the Kansas Jayhawks, Koa Pete with the Arizona Wildcats, Keaton Wagler, who was just in the Final Four for Illinois, the Fighting Illini, the Boozer twins. I mean, you got Cam Boozer, son of Carlos Boozer, for the Duke Blue Devils. You also got Kay Boozer. You have Caleb Wilson, who was injured for North Carolina. But again, we'll see what happens with Caleb Williams, knowing that Mike Malone just got hired by the University of North Carolina. See if he's going to come back for another year. Kingston Flemings, I believe with Houston, the Houston Cougars, and as I mentioned, Darius Acuff Jr. With Arkansas, with Coach Calipari, and Mikael Brown Jr. So there's this draft class is for sure, bar for bar, I think player for player is going to compete with that 03 draft class. it's going to absolutely start the conversation of one of the best pools of talent. And it comes back down to this, Jim, is a guy like Braylon Mullins with the University of UConn, freshman, out of Greenfield, Indiana, got to play in the Final Four, just a couple shots away from winning a national championship himself with UConn. If he goes into the draft class, he could end up being like a number 14, 14th pick in that draft class. He's probably going to make more money if he stays at UConn with that NIL, like with the deals that he's going to be lined up for. I've already seen him Final Four weekend. He was doing commercials for Invesco, QQQ. Like he's getting these deals, and also he's a household name at this point with the notoriety of the college of UConn and the college program there. So that'll be interesting to see how some of these underclassmen kind of navigate the rest of the off season for college. Other things that we want to talk about. I know that the NFL draft is coming up April 23rd. That will be in Pittsburgh. Did we kind of mention this as well? Pittsburgh is going to be shutting down their entire school system during the NFL draft, which is like, hey, everybody stop. The NFL's in town.
Well, I mean, it happened here in Green Bay. Like they literally moved all the schedules. They actually started a week earlier for schools here in Green Bay to go around the draft because it's such a big deal, and it takes a lot of resources. It takes a lot of planning. It takes a lot of everything. You were here last year. You saw how busy everything was, and they need to prep everything. They need to make sure everything is going good, and they need to make sure that there's safety. I think that's a smart thing to do to move off for a week, but I think it's a good idea that they close down. I think plus the kids, they get a chance to go to a draft. Some of them weren't even alive the last time it was in Pittsburgh, or if it ever was in Pittsburgh. I'm not sure.
I don't think it's ever been in Pittsburgh. It might have been in Detroit. That's probably like the closest that it was to Pittsburgh. I know it was in Cleveland, so if it's hopped around. It was in Kansas City for a year. But the NFL draft has gotten bigger. Like I know the last year, like I was in Green Bay with you. I know you're obviously there. But when I was visiting you in Green Bay for the draft, it was such a big draw, and you could just feel the buzz just around, the excitement in the city, in the town. Like I feel like Green Bay turned into a city. It was no longer small town USA. It turned into like a bigger city at that moment, just because of the buzz and just it was ongoing, the activity, the hype. I know Cam Ward was the face of that draft because he went number 1 overall for the Tennessee Titans. Fernando Mendoza, more likely going to be the face of this draft, being the top quarterback, and knowing that the quarterback position is the most important in football, and knowing that he's one of the main household names so far in this draft class. He's not going to be attending. He's not going to be attending the draft class, like the actual draft. And I think it does come back to like family and knowing that his mom has MS, and it's not going to be as accessible. And I know that Fernando Mendoza is family first, and faith, family, and football for him. And I think that makes sense for him not to attend. I know the NFL with Roger Goodell, they want to have that moment. They want to have the hat, the jersey, the full exchange of the face, the new face of the NFL transcending into the professional level. The NFL won't get their wish with their guy being the number 1 pick. So knowing that Fernando Mendoza will not be in Pittsburgh, does that change anything for you, Jim? Like, what's your outlook with Fernando Mendoza not attending?
Dude, you're the number 1 pick in the draft. You are projected number 1. You are projected to be the best of the best, and you're not going to be there. That just says, fuck you. That says F you to me. That screams F you to me. I mean, like, I don't respect you enough to come to the draft to make sure I could be there. I'm going to be there. I'm going to do it on my terms when I play against you. But the draft, it means nothing. Like, you got to be kidding me, dude. Like, you're the number 1 overall pick, and you're going to pull this? It just screams at you.
It's a strong message. It is a strong message to the NFL just from the get-go, like, hey, I'm not going to play by the rules. And maybe that does fit his MO, being a Las Vegas Raider. The Las Vegas Raiders are kind of the alternative to the NFL. They've always been seen as the outcasts of the NFL. You want to protect the shield, and I'm sure the NFL is going to try to virtualize this as much as possible. So Mendoza can at least have a moment with could Roger Goodell. Maybe Roger Goodell attends his first game, and I think that might be what the NFL might do, where Roger Goodell will be at Fernando Mendoza's first career game, just so the NFL can have their cameras on Goodell
Simple. They're going to do it
and Mendoza.
No, they're going to start doing what the NHL draft does. Everything's going to be virtual. There's going to be no heart. There's going to be no soul. It's just going to be at one place. No fans. Oh, the fans can be there, but no G. They're all going to be back at their training facility. I don't know. I just don't if they continue this way and they make them go virtually. It's just I understand if you're a second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, or seventh round pick, or maybe in a second, but you're there. And you're supposed to go number 1. The fans want to see you. They want you in town. They want you in that green room. They want to see everyone's reaction. Even though everyone knows what it's going to be, they want to see it. And by not showing up, it's a big middle finger. And I don't think that they can. I just think it's a bad look for the NFL. And I think it's a bad look at Mendoza just because you have to, or you are now representing a NFL organization, and if you're too big to even show up to be drafted and you got to do it virtually, that just sends a message of to me it sends a message of I'm being above the team. It's me, myself, and I, and no one else.
Right. And I think with Las Vegas picking number 1, and I don't see them moving down. I think the pick is more likely going to be in already before the clock even starts, that Mendoza is going to be consensus number 1 overall. You got the New York Jets at number 2. They're probably going to take an athlete. I don't think there's a deep enough quarterback class where there's an obvious number 2 quarterback. We may see Ty Simpson, but again, that's a maybe. We maybe see him go in the first round, but maybe late first round. Where we could potentially see, let's just say the draft for the New York Jets. We could possibly see the New York Jets take a quarterback, maybe in they do have the second round number 1 pick. So whoever slips out of the first round, they also have the 16th pick in the first round. So you may see a quarterback being taken there. That's where I could ideally see Ty Simpson going if he is a first round pick. It would be maybe with the Jets. But there's also project quarterbacks out there that Aaron Glenn could definitely select. I think there's some project quarterbacks that the Jets might select, knowing that, hey, maybe in a year or 2 we could have this guy up to speed, and if we work on this defense, it'll just make sense for us to go get a veteran, go sign a veteran, or go trade for a veteran. I mean, they do have. I know they let go of Justin Fields, but I know that they ended the season. Well, I think they did bring back Geno Smith, so Geno Smith might be their option there. So with them signing Geno Smith, I think that they're not going to reach right away. I think the Jets maybe are going to be a little bit more patient, knowing that Mendoza is not going to be on the draft board at 2. But maybe the Arizona Cardinals at 3, they could be the ones that take Ty Simpson as well.
It probably will. I mean, they don't have three more. You fill that gap, and I think they're just at a point where, like, you have third year now. You need a quarterback for him, and then you need an extra weapon or two. And it's just, I don't know. I think they take Ty Simpson, that he's not going to drop to the second round. Jets, they could bank on Geno, but they'll probably try to get someone in the later round, I think. But who knows? Well, I'm going to make a crazy prediction that's never going to happen. The Browns are going to trade Shadur Sanders to the Jets for the number 2 overall pick. But the pick is never going to happen. That's never going to happen, but that's going to be outrageous if it does.
Oh, you said if they trade it to the number, they trade it down?
No, so the Cleveland Browns trade Shadur Sanders to the New York Jets for the number 2 pick.
Okay, yeah. That is a pipe dream. Like it wouldn't happen, but yeah, like if they were to trade Shadur Sanders, the Cleveland Browns trade the Shadur Sanders for the number 2 pick to go get a quarterback, I would assume.
Basically, yes.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. No, this is definitely interesting. Okay, go ahead. Yeah. Okay. No, that would definitely shake things up for sure. Okay. Here, like, all right. Okay, so what I'm seeing here, just looking at a draft simulator right now, just kind of going through it. Here, pause it real quick. So far, what I'm seeing in like the first couple of draft picks, we got Fernando Mendoza going number 1. The Jets, more likely they'll take Arvell Reese out of Ohio State. Number 3, like for this mock draft, I just chose Jeremiah Love just because, like, hey, the Cardinals, they're probably just going to take the best player available. So they take Jeremiah Love at 3. Number 4, Sonny Styles goes to the Tennessee Titans with Robert Saleh. The Giants, where I would right now I would put Jeremiah Love probably in the New York Giants. If I was their GM, that's who I would try to trade up to number 3 with Arizona to guarantee that Tennessee doesn't snipe him before me. But the New York Giants in this draft, they get David Bailey. The Cleveland Browns at 6, who you mentioned if they were to move up to the number 2 pick, they took Carnell Tate out of Ohio State, one of the top wide receivers, and Caleb Downs for the Washington Commanders, Ruben Bain, edge rusher out of the University of Miami to the New Orleans Saints. The Kansas City Chiefs would take an offensive tackle to protect Patrick Mahomes. Again, it's going to be a shakeup whether Patrick Mahomes will be ready for Week 1, start of the NFL season. They would take Francis Mayoga. The Bengals at number 10, they would take Mansour Delaney. Number 11 for the Miami Dolphins, they take Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver USC. The Dallas Cowboys with Akeem Mesdor, edge rusher. The Los Angeles Rams, Jordan Tyson, wide receiver, I believe out of Arizona State. And the Baltimore Ravens would take Spencer Fano out of the University of Utah, offensive tackle. The Buccaneers would get Jermad McCoy. The New York Jets would take Ola Vega Lone, offensive guard. The Detroit Lions would take Monroe Freeling, offensive tackle. And the Minnesota Vikings at 18, again, this is just a draft simulator, would end up with Kenyon Sadiq, tight end out of Oregon. We'll just stop there because we both are Vikings fans. How would we feel about a first-round pick used on a offensive weapon, a tight end, for the Minnesota Vikings in this offense with Kevin O'Connell?
I mean, if you look at it like this, you have Jordan Madison, who is probably gone after this year unless he signs a deal. JJ's not getting any younger, and he's getting frustrated. You got Hawkinson, who's been hurt before. You don't really have that tight end two, that threat of a tight end two. So I think that's a good thing to have. But I mean, I'm fine with it as long as we focus on the defensive end after, and then maybe get another O line to help out, like at least a center maybe. But I'm fine with a tight end.
Okay. Yeah, I think that's a consensus for a lot of fans just looking at how last season ended. You definitely need some help on the back end with the defense, but it doesn't hurt to always add weapons, knowing that TJ Hawkinson is probably 1 foot out the door, even though he did sign a team-friendly contract to stay on the roster. Because I was thinking that he was gone after last year, but knowing that he did restructure for a team-friendly contract, this is probably like the last dance with TJ Hawkinson. So they're preparing for life after TJ Hawkinson as the tight end one, and knowing that you got Josh Oliver, but again, Josh Oliver's there more for the run game, run blocking, and you're not really leaning too heavy on him in the pass game. I like the pick. I'm not against it. I know that there's players that are available right after him, like I know Emmanuel McNeil-Warren as a safety. He went immediately right after the Vikings to the Carolina Panthers. Then Blake Miller, offensive tackle. Omar Cooper, who played with Omar Cooper Jr., who I believe played with Fernando Mendoza at Indiana, and he had that Heisman moment catch against Penn State in those last couple seconds. So again, you got talent there, and you got Caleb Lemieux going to the Los Angeles Chargers. Philadelphia Eagles get Caden Proctor, offensive tackle, and the Cleveland Browns, Jim. Cleveland Browns keep it interesting. They go with Ty Simpson at 24. This is the draft simulator, though. But just imagine that. You got Ty Simpson and Shadur Sanders duking it out in the training camp now.
That's no. Why would they? They also have Dylan Gabriel. Can't forget about him.
Yeah, they got Dylan Gabriel too. Yeah.
Why? Just why?
Yeah.
Like that's, no.
Yeah, exactly. Why? I think that would just be like the ultimate why for the Cleveland Browns. And Todd Monken would probably just lose all the hair on the top of his skull if this happens. And if this happens with Andrew Berry or AB with the Cleveland Browns, if he makes this decision, I think the Browns are doomed for another awful season, because you cannot go quarterback after you just went quarterback last year and you weren't able to figure it out, and you still got to figure out the situation with Deshaun Watson as well. The Bears, they take Cassius Howell, edge rusher. Bills get C.J. Allen, linebacker. Coach's favorite team, the San Francisco 49ers, they get Keldrick Folk, another edge rusher for the 49ers. Dylan Thieneman, safety for the Houston Texans. Houston Texans, they got a tough defense, and they add some help there in the secondary. And then the Kansas City Chiefs, they get a defensive tackle. So let's just finish out the rest of this draft in the first round. The Dolphins, okay. Yeah, I think it was showing me. Here, let's go down to the last picks here. Yeah, but that just lets you know, there's going to be a lot of talent in this NFL draft. Whoever the Patriots end up with in the offseason will be talked about, but I think what is being talked about with the New England Patriots right now is their head coach, and for all the wrong reasons. Let's talk Mike Vrabel and Dianna Russini, the scandal in Arizona, the Sedona deja vu. So were they really looking at, were they really looking at the beautiful landscape in the desert on a work retreat? Or was this a little bit more sinister, and is this adultery? Is this a scandal that's going on? Again, where there's smoke, there's fire. And Vrabel was saying that he was hanging out with friends, and they drove 2 hours away to their own hotels after spending some time with Dianna Russini and her friends. But again, photographers, private investigators, whatever you want to call them, they didn't find any friends that Mike Vrabel or Dianna Russini were bringing up. It looked like it was a romantic getaway or a rendezvous with these two, and they're both married. These are not single individuals where they're able to they're both consenting adults, but they're both married. They're both public figures. Got to be smarter than this. I feel like if your marriage is in trouble, I think you address it, you separate.
Yeah.
But to do this to your wife and for her to do this to her husband, it is very, very, very lowbrow, and I think they are dragging both their husband and wife through a lot of mud, unnecessarily.
It wouldn't be the Patriots without some sort of scandal. I mean, my gosh.
Is that the prerequisite as a head coach in the New England area? We've seen this with Bill Belichick. Obviously, he's at North Carolina now, but he also kind of had, he's dating, young girlfriend, age difference, and then also Ime Udoka with the Boston Celtics. At the time, his wife, Nia Long, he was, cheating with, one of the assistants or team personnel or part of the staff. And now Mike Vrabel, messing around with the media, messing around with one of the inside reporters, one of, the members of the press. And I don't know, like how you are able to recover from this, like especially knowing that they're both in the public eye. This will continue to come up. This will be the topic of discussion until further notice. And I'm sure for the New England Patriots, Robert Kraft and the rest of that ownership group, they cannot wait for the NFL draft to start so they could talk about something else. And knowing that they got rid of Stephon Diggs, now they have another distraction in their head coach. And we know that he's not going anywhere because he was just in the Super Bowl coaching Drake May. But being Drake May and you're seeing this from your head coach, you're just like, seriously? I thought we were like getting away from like the distractions. You're obviously sending a message to the team if you're letting Stephon Diggs go that, hey, we're trying to clean up the act here. We're doing it the Patriot way. And is this the Patriot way, Jim?
Shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. You need to not get like caught up in all this stuff. Like it's stupid.
Yeah. It is stupid. I mean, no better way to put it. But yeah, it's pretty stupid. AJ Brown. Let's move on to another topic. AJ Brown. Will he get traded? Like I know that there's rumors out there. Does he end up on another team? Does he end up with the Chicago Bears? It looked like the Chicago Bears were looking to possibly add another weapon, and they did trade away DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills. Could we potentially see AJ Brown in Chicago? Could we see AJ Brown with the Kansas City Chiefs? Could we see AJ Brown with the Dallas Cowboys? Or could we see AJ Brown, move somewhere else? Yeah.
Question is, what's their cap situation look like? Is
are they able to hold on to him? Do they need to move on to him? What's his role going to be? Does he not want to be there? So, I mean, probably does move on with the Wicks trade accusation. So I think he moves on. I can't tell you where. I wouldn't put it past the Bears trying to pick him up, but I don't know. Maybe Chicago. I mean, Kansas City, because they kind of need a weapon. Because there are a lot of people leaving there. Kelsey has another 3 years, but who knows how long he'll actually play for. I don't know. He could go to the Browns. Oh my God, the Chiefs. But I don't know. He could go anywhere.
Yeah, because with the Chiefs, you got Travis Kelce more likely in his swan song, his final year with the Chiefs. You got Rashee Rice. Again, needs to stay out of any kind of legal problems, similar to like a Jordan Addison, where you just don't know if this guy is going to be available or is going to be suspended for the upcoming season. A.J. Brown, I feel like he does give them, that professional that has won big games, has won a Super Bowl, has that ring cred immediately in that locker room. And also, I know that Andy Reid will be able to trust A.J. Brown in big time situations, knowing that he can win those one-on-one matchups on the outside. Big physical receiver. I think this bodes well for the Kansas City Chiefs, knowing that they haven't really had a big time wide receiver in many of years. I mean, it's been since Tyreek Hill that they've had a true number one.
No, definitely. They need to get that true number one back because, you can't just sit there and be like, oh, we have these a guy who's number one week and a guy who's number one, a different guy is number one next week. I mean, yeah, it's good to have, but you kind of want, to have that true number one where you can take the threat away and then go to the other people.
Exactly. It opens up all levels of the passing game for Patrick Mahomes, and you know how dangerous Patrick Mahomes is, but when you mix in a true number one in there, I think it makes him even more lethal, especially in those late game situations where you got to have it. The other things that I wanted to talk to you about, Jim, I know that, Dontavius Wicks, the Green Bay Packers, are they the next Oklahoma City Thunder? Because they have 1 million picks for the next 2 years. They just keep, every time they let somebody go, they're collecting the compensatory pick, and they get a couple picks back from the Philadelphia Eagles in that trade with Dontavius Wicks going to Philadelphia. What are the Green Bay Packers building? Is something to worry about for the NFC North and the NFC in general?
Well, I mean, they're in cap hell, so no. But they also don't have a first-round pick for the next 2 years because they traded for Parsons. They don't think they picked late second round.
52, I think. 52.
Yeah, 52. So maybe even the third. Second round. I mean, if they could find people in the draft, yeah. But just because they're collecting these picks, I mean, they could. I think they're more of a trade bait than an actual pick. Because outside of the top 10, you're not guaranteed. Now you're just taking risks and picks, and hopefully they all pick up in their draft picks. They're unproven prospects until they prove themselves. So yeah, they could build something, but unless they turn into something, they're bust.
Fair enough. I mean, they got to prove it on the field. I mean, all these are really just projections until they actually get onto the field. The one thing though, with the Green Bay Packers, they do have a solid group of wide receivers: Romeo Doubs, Christian Watson. I really like Jaden Reed, but Jaden Reed, he doesn't stay healthy. That's the thing where his availability is not there. and they lost Emmanuel Wilson to the Seattle Seahawks. So the defending Super Bowl champions, they plugged the hole, because I know Kansas City Chiefs, they took Kenneth Walker the third away from the Seattle Seahawks. So the Super Bowl MVP is on a new team already. But the Seahawks didn't just wait around till the draft to replace their guy. They went out and they got Emmanuel Wilson, who ran really hard for the Green Bay Packers last year and was a serviceable backup. And we know this as Vikings fans because he was able to run very freely against the Vikings last season in the first of two matchups between the Packers and the Vikings. But Emmanuel Wilson leaving the Green Bay Packers, what does that do to the rushing attack? I mean, how is this rushing attack going to look like with Josh Jacobs?
I mean, you still have Josh Jacobs, but they still need that number 2 guy to take the rushes when he's not able to go, or if he gets hurt, you need someone. So I wouldn't be surprised if they pick someone up from free agency, or maybe trade like a 3rd-round pick for a backup running back. But it's going to be interesting to see the dynamic of everything.
Absolutely. And knowing that the Vikings are looking to really solidify their rushing attack, and seeing what's going on with the Bears. The Bears are getting stronger, I feel like, with their moves. They went out and they got a center right in the free agency, so they didn't waste any time being able to replace their offensive line. And knowing the Detroit Lions are looking to get stronger, they went out and they got Isaiah Pacheco. Again, another guy that has won, meaningful games in the playoffs, won some Super Bowls, and also, you're leaving an Andy Reid locker room, and I think it would be all foolish to think like, hey, this guy is going to bring something from that locker room into Detroit. So I think Detroit's going to be a tough team coming up. So the entire NFC North, just watching how the offseason is going so far, I really like where the Vikings are, but also I'm paying attention to what every team in the NFC North is doing, because I feel like not a lot of these teams are getting worse. I think a lot of these teams are getting tougher as we get closer to the season. I know the NFL is weeks away from the start of the draft and all that, but let's talk about what's heating up right now, and that's the NHL playoff race and also the NBA playoff race. Let's start with the NHL. The Minnesota Wild, they are more likely they're going to face off against the Dallas Stars, and they had a great matchup on Thursday. I think it did kind of end in some fisticuffs with Quid Hughes getting tangled up with one of the Dallas Stars at the end. Give me 7 with the Wild versus Stars. I think that would be great.
That's gonna be great, and I can't wait for playoffs to start. I really don't like the way it's set up, but that's a topic for another day. But yeah, that's gonna be a great series. It's gonna go 7. I think anything out of the West is a good chance of going 7. I mean, you got Colorado. They're going to be good.
They're going to be good. Yeah. Colorado. Did they win the Central?
Pacific.
I think did they clinch?
Central, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yep, they clinched the Central and the President.
And the President's Cup.
The winner. If Dallas wins tonight, they get home ice throughout the first series. That's going to be a fun one to watch. Another good series. I mean, let's give a chance to Buffalo. I remember a couple weeks ago we were talking about playoffs and how teams need to build up. Look at the Buffalo Sabres. Out of nowhere, they have 106 points.
Out of nowhere,
making the playoffs. Out of nowhere, breaking the 14-year playoff drought.
Golf claps.
14-year. So congrats to them making the playoffs again. Montreal's back in, Tampa's in. Now the race for the East is going to be fun because you have 5 teams fighting for 2 spots, and it's just amazing to watch.
Right, you got the Columbus
Oh.
Blue Jackets, the New York Islanders,
Um,
who just let go
Philadelphia
of
Flyers.
Patrick Waugh, right? Like with 4 games
Which
to go.
was crazy because I understand you're losing, but how do you gas a coach this late into the season, close to playoff run?
Makes no sense, right?
No sense.
Um,
Then you got like Boston, Ottawa, and Detroit also vying for that last 2 spots.
right.
Oh
Do
my
you,
gosh,
do you also
it's just-
have? Is Detroit kind of maybe out of the picture now? I mean, they're 3 points
No.
back. They're still in it, right? They're still in it. They still got a couple games in hand.
Yes.
Okay, I think they played 79.
No,
So they got 3 games
79,
left.
They have 3
Yeah.
games
Yeah.
left. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And there's also
Yeah.
action today. Yeah.
Yep. If Detroit wins and Ottawa loses, Detroit has a good chance to make it in. Philadelphia could get knocked out, even though they have less points than the 2 wildcard teams are in. Again, this whole setup is stupid and
Right. The
needs to get
divisions. Yeah, the divisions, how they're split up because right now they got the Atlantic with 3 automatic berths, and then they got the Metropolitan with 3 automatic
3.
berths. Right. And then
2 wildcard.
2 wild card. Okay. Yeah, that makes no sense, Jim. I don't like that. Again, that's another topic for another day. But right now, with the wild card, what you're seeing with the Boston Bruins, the Ottawa Senators, do you think those 2 teams can hold off both Detroit and the New York Isles?
Definitely the Islanders, but
Okay.
Detroit's going to be tough.
Okay. Do you think Detroit is a playoff team?
Yes, they have a good chance to make the playoffs. I like their chances, but Ottawa's going to be stingy. I mean, Boston can be the team that probably will drop out at best, I would say.
Okay.
But it's all up in the air.
Right. I think it is somewhere to note as well. Hey, your New York Rangers, they put up a great fight. I know it was about like a month ago. We were at the game, but they did not play like a team that was not making the playoffs. I think they're building on something very strong for next season. Any preview of what you expect for your New York Rangers moving forward?
Let's win games at regulation at home and not go over 2 months of not winning a game at home. And let's actually score goals and help our goalie out because that was ridiculous. That was very ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. And they're like 2 years away from, 2 years separated from the year that they won the President's Cup, right? Where they were the number 1 team in the NHL, obviously winning the President's Cup. But then there's been so many moves, so much player movement. I think with the offseason, are you thinking that New York is going to be a destination spot for a lot of these free agents where they're going to see the opportunity to play at MSG?
I mean, you're talking about one of the most famous cities in the world. Of course, it's still going to be a destination. You just got to get good, and I think the rookies that they called up helped out a lot. And it's just I think it's going to be a good one, but I don't know. They just need to be better.
Got to be
They
better.
just need to be better.
Just need to be better.
Yeah.
And guess, are you going to be pulling for the Minnesota Wild? I think that's going to be the next team that you're going to be watching in the playoffs. Or who's your team that you're going to be watching? Who's your bandwagon team?
I could definitely say Minnesota. I like their team. I like it a lot. So I'm going to choose them for the West. But it's going to be tough because you got Edmonton, Vegas, and Colorado, and Dallas are going to be good. But I'm going to go underdogs in the Atlantic. I'm going to go with Buffalo just because they haven't made it in like how many years now.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I kind of want them to go far just for the fan base.
Right. No, Buffalo's been a great story. A real story of a second half team that, got hot and they were able to continue that momentum and belief, in the squad. And, they're at 49 wins, and 106 points, as we mentioned earlier. The Minnesota Wild are looking to snap the streak of the first round one and done So we'll see if they can get it done. They will drop the puck in a week's time. So a week from now, the Stanley Cup playoffs will be underway, Jim. Let's shift gears. I know we were talking about the Minnesota Wild, but shout out to Vladimir Tarasenko having a great season with the Minnesota Wild. We'll see how the Wild wrap up the season. I think they wrap up against the Anaheim Ducks. The NBA, they complete their regular season schedule tomorrow. Everybody's off today. The whole league plays tomorrow. The Minnesota Timberwolves are locked in the number 6 seed. They will end up playing the Denver Nuggets or the Los Angeles Lakers, whoever gets the 3 seed. So Minnesota's not going up or down. They're locked in at the number 6 seed. But who will be the number 3 seed? Right now, the Denver Nuggets, they face off against the San Antonio Spurs. So if the Spurs were able to beat the Nuggets and the Lakers were able to beat the Utah Jazz, the Lakers would move up. And I think that would be a more favorable matchup, knowing that the Lakers are down Luka Doncic and Austin Reeves, and they have old man LeBron James at 41 years old. And I think the Minnesota Timberwolves would have a favorable matchup, knowing that they got a young core with Anthony Edwards. You got Jaden McDaniels, Naz Reid, going up against a depleted Lakers team. And I think the Lakers, they would rather match up against the Houston Rockets, even though the Houston Rockets got Kevin Durant. I would rather play a Houston Rockets team that likes to choke in the last 5 minutes of a game compared to a young upstart team that wants to, take out the Lakers, and knowing that LeBron is in his final couple seasons here. So it'll be interesting to see how that plays out. But right now, Minnesota's 6, Houston's 5, LA's 4, Denver's 3, San Antonio's 2, and OKC is locked in at number 1. As a Wolves fan, I want to see them play the Lakers just because I know that you get to avoid OKC in that second round matchup. And also, you get a hobbled Lakers team. Don't get me wrong, though. It would be competitive basketball playing Denver, but I just know that will be more of a challenge. That will be an uphill challenge. But again, bring on the Nuggets if it's the Nuggets. I know that will be war between the Nuggets and the Timberwolves. It'll be great basketball. And taking a look at the Eastern Conference, you got Pistons locked in at number 1, Boston's number 2, Knicks 3, Cavaliers 4, Hawks 5. Again, Hawks similar to Buffalo, making a nice run in the second half. Looked like they were not going to make the playoffs. They're all the way up to the 5th seed. The Toronto Raptors are at 6. The Orlando Magic are fighting to get out of that play-in tournament. That's what's at stake. And then also the Philadelphia 76ers. They're looking to move up as well, but locked in are the Charlotte Hornets and the Miami Heat. The Milwaukee Bucks, again, they missed the playoffs. A lot of scrutiny with them and how they handled the Giannis Antetokounmpo situation, especially with, they should have broke up earlier, knowing that Giannis wants to continue to play, but Milwaukee's looking at the draft class and saying, hey, we want to add more ping pong balls in the draft lottery. But we'll talk about the draft lottery another time. The playoffs right now. We got a full Eastern Conference bracket getting set up, and then also the Western Conference is already set. But right now, what we're seeing is, the health of the league, because we were talking about the Detroit Pistons as being one of the worst teams in the NBA, Jim, and look at them now. They're the number 1 team in the East.
Yeah. Oh my. It's great to see how things turn around. It's awesome, and it's great to see a team turn around, and that's what happens. And they feel great for their fans. They were able to weather the storm, weather everything, and now they get to go with their team and be excited. And yeah, it's great for them, and it's awesome to hear. It really is.
Absolutely, absolutely. All right, we got about like 5 minutes to go here. Before we wrap up, let's just talk about the Big Ten dominance real quick. The Big Ten dominance in collegiate sports. The women's basketball national champion was the UCLA Bruins. Congratulations to them. Shout out to Gabrielle Jaquez. She's a two-sport athlete. She plays both basketball, so she was a national championship in basketball, and she plays softball. That's amazing. And also the WNBA draft is coming up. Men's basketball, they just won Michigan Wolverines. Congratulations to Michigan. Men's football, and this was the dark horse that we talked about in the 94 podcast before anybody thought it was cool, the Indiana Hoosiers. They are the champs in men's football. Men's wrestling, Penn State Nittany Lions, they were the national champions there. Women's hockey, the Wisconsin Badgers. Congratulations to the Wisconsin Badgers ladies winning the hockey national championship. And it comes down to tonight, Wisconsin versus Denver in Las Vegas in the Frozen Four final. Wisconsin versus Denver. Can Wisconsin clean the sweep for 2026 for major sports for the Big Ten?
No, because Denver is just that good. I mean, they need to play like no mistakes. They can't make any mistakes. And Denver's like just one of those teams that like you can't give any mistakes to, and it's just either they got to play the best game of their life, and if they don't, they're screwed.
Right. They got to play the best 60 minutes of their lives to secure a national championship. But yeah, I'm going Denver Pioneers too. Gotta stay strong with the NCHC. Go St. Cloud. Go Huskies always. But okay, final notes here as we're winding down. Remember this guy? The batting stance?
Oh my gosh, Ichiro, yes.
Yeah, Ichiro. He just had a statue go up, and this is the fastest I've seen a statue be broken. Like, right when they unveiled it, the confetti hadn't even touched the ground yet, Jim. The bat.
It just breaks. Maybe. Oh my gosh.
Ken Griffey Jr. was there too, so like all these Mariner legends, and Ichiro was just pointing up and was like, "What's that?" I mean, this is nothing new. They had the Allen Iverson like mini-me statue. They made Allen Iverson like super tiny statue. They had the Dwayne Wade statue, who looks nothing like Dwayne Wade. They had the Cristiano Ronaldo statues. So all these statues, I know that there's going to be a statue coming up for Shohei Ohtani for the Los Angeles Dodgers already. What's up with these statues, and why are they going so wrong?
I don't know. I mean, maybe it's the material they're using. Maybe it's just, I don't know. They just need to have better quality of the stuff, because it's
right.
It's stupid. It's like you're immortalizing one of the best players to play for your organization. You can't get it right. That's a problem.
Yeah. Absolutely. It comes back to ownership. I know the Minnesota Twins, Tom Pohlad, he was recently approached at the end of a Twins game with a woman with a hat that read, "Sell the team." And he directly said to this woman, "You're classless." And obviously she was upset because her 13-year-old son was there, and she asked him, like, "Hey, how would you like it if I called you classless?" And that was kind of the tit for tat going back and forth. And this also comes back down to ownership. Is ownership cutting corners on these statues? Is ownership also cutting corners on the players? I know you have thoughts on the Boston ownership as well, and we can just wrap with that.
They need to sell the team because they're terrible, and the owners are doing nothing to help. Simple and easy.
Simple and easy. Sell the team. If you don't want to invest, sell the team. Until next time, here in the 94 podcast, we'll see you at the TO